We have this curse of consciousness, you know, of awareness of life and death issues that other animals don't have, you know, who can't symbolize. And it helps us to become more outstanding, more spiritual, more sensitive, more creative, more finely tuned to things in life. And it also makes us aware of our own end. There's a desire to live and feel and participate and be part of that. And at the same time, it's so painful to be aware of life and to feel it and to invest in it, which makes us tend to cut off feeling, to go in the other direction, just like you said. Faced with the threat of death, to go against life, go against living, and to try to dull our sensations, drug ourselves. The basic defenses start long before a person is aware of death anxiety or of the concept of death. People begin to defend themselves against pain early in their lives, and the degree to which they're traumatized will bear on how they will deal with the death issue when it arises. And perhaps that's the key issue. If they have the, let's say, the proper kind of background emotionally, and if they're nurtured sufficiently, they won't tend to rely heavily on fantasy processes to cut off pain. And they're less likely to have to deny real issues in their life. They'll be able to cope with those kind of issues. But to the extent that they're traumatized, they will tend to defend themselves. And these defenses, these primitive defenses, are debilitating in themselves. Then when the person becomes aware of the actual fact that, first, that their parents will die, and second, that they can no longer take care of themselves either. There's no defense against the actuality of death. Then the defenses are crystallized. And very often then they're triggered by incidents or reminders of death.
I wonder if do you make a distinction between the idea of death anxiety and the idea of death awareness?
I make a distinction between death anxiety, that is the fear or the awkward, painful aspects of not knowing or about ending concepts and infinity and those kind of issues, I see as death anxiety. I see something else that I see as very important, a sadness about death, a painful emotion of just sadness that you're going to cease to exist. It causes me a great deal of pain or sadness to think of non-existence, to picture my life as I know it ending, and fear of dying. And I think that most people have both. But I recommend that they feel the sadness. It's worth, in fact, I see that the mourning one's own death is a positive affirmation of life.
I had some different thoughts. One is the thing about, you can accept death, and the Buddhists and people say accept death. It's such a funny thing for me, a funny way to put it. It doesn't matter whether you accept it or not, it's there. And also, I sort of had this image too of, we're so worked up about what's going to happen after, but whatever it was happening before too. So I sort of see this long, endless period of non-existence with this little tiny bump in it of life, and it's like a horrible way to look at it in a way, but I feel like this little time here is like an incredible gift. That's how I feel, an incredible gift, and I feel like every moment I have that feeling. The thing is that I'm always aware of death, and so there's always a sadness in everything that I experience. All the happiness has a poignancy to it.
Mm-hmm.
That actually makes
Yeah,
it deeper
me
and
too.
richer than when it was just happy,
Mm-hmm.
And
That's one of the positive
Yeah.
aspects of facing the death issue.
Yeah.
It gives a poignant sense of
Yeah.
meaning to happiness, which enlarges the experience
Right.
instead of detracting from it.
And also, I thought that, you're talking about the idea of triumphing over death. And, I mean, to me, that also seems absurd, because, I mean, I am so powerless, it's not even a joke. You know what I mean?
What?
I'm so powerless, it's not even a joke. But I thought that I can triumph over my defenses about death. And I can.
That's what we're really
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
And
In order
so, I mean,
to enhance your life.
it's a technicality,
Right.
but I can triumph over the ways that I've defended myself against facing it.
It's like people are split between an alliance with death or an alliance with life.
Yeah, that's right.
Really, when you really think about it. And a lot of the voice attacks and the represent a drive toward death and destruction, and a movement away from living things, experiences, and so on. And a lot of these destructive voices, encourage you to cut off these feelings and back away and not invest. Don't take any chances. Don't trust anyone. You can take care of yourself. Sort of those kind of emotions. Or you can ally yourself with the living and feeling and embracing life. And you can bear the loss always. It's better to love and lose than never to have loved. It's better to live, and die than never to have lived. But that's not a decision that most people make. And none of this is really consciously determined usually. The person just drifts into a state of denial and warding off all kinds of emotions and pain in their lives at great expense. See, it's never worth it to take the drug. It's never worth it to kill the pain. That's the key issue.
I think that
You can bear the pain, and that makes you strong.